The new Miss Universe is Philippines.
Hello guys, welcome to my channel once again. And last night we had the Miss Universe 2018 competition, and we have a brand new Miss Universe, which is Miss Philippines Catriona Gray. Congratulations for this amazing and well-deserved win. Today I'm gonna go over all the details of this coronation night and go in full analysis of all the steps from its beginning to its end and the whole format of the Miss Universe pageant. So let's go for it. So we had a very nice opening this year. They had like a bunch of drummers and dancers from Thailand. I think it's very enriching to see, you know, Thai culture and the host country's culture in the stage. I think it gives you that vibe that you are actually in the country that it's presented. So it was very beautiful. So they quickly moved into selecting the top 20. They were gonna select it by regions, 5 out of Africa and Asia Pacific, 5 out of Europe, 5 out of the Americas, and 5 out of all the contestants, or what they call wild cards or wild spots. So from Africa and Asia Pacific, the girls that made the cut were South Africa, Philippines, Vietnam, Nepal, and Thailand. Once they get called to the top 20, they asked her a simple question, and these girls already knew the questions that they were going to be asked. I really loved from this group Miss Philippines and Miss Thailand. Miss Philippines was asked about a song, a name of a song if she had the opportunity to write it, and she said raise your flag. She was talking about her country and how she wanted to make proud the 100 and something millions of Filipinos. And you know, from that moment, we all knew that she was one of the top contenders to the crown. I really loved that answer. It was simple, short, but it also presented pride for her country, so it was very beautiful. I loved Miss Thailand's response because she was talking about how she wanted to make her parents proud because they paid for her college tuition, and they basically raised her to be the woman that she is now. And you know, that demonstrated a lot of humbleness, and definitely was one of my favorite responses out of that group of Africa and Asia Pacific. The group from Europe, the 5 girls that made the cut were Poland, Belgium, Great Britain, Hungary, and Ireland. This was the weakest group in my opinion in terms of responses, and I was very surprised to see the girls that made it. I only had one girl from this group in my top, and you know, I was very less accurate out of all the groups. This was the less accurate that I have as far as predictions. Very surprised to see Belgium talk about that accounting is useful for shopping. I think this was an opportunity for her to showcase why accounting is important and why the world needs accountants. Out of the Americas, we had Curacao, Costa Rica, Canada, Puerto Rico, and Jamaica. Out of this group, I loved Canada's answer. She talked about how she combines and why it's important for her both modeling and engineering. It was a perfect response. It demonstrated that she is not only beautiful but also intelligent and smart, and I'm all for women in STEM competing at Miss Universe, so it was definitely a wow moment in terms of those responses. And the last group that they selected was the wild cards. The girls that made it were USA, Venezuela, Indonesia, Brazil, and Australia. All of them were very strong girls that I had on my list. I was very surprised not to see Miss Ecuador and Miss Kenya making it to the finals. I think those were very strong girls that definitely deserve a spot in the finals. But overall, I think we had a very strong top 20 this year. Then they introduced this new round in which the girls had to give a short speech, and they had to answer the question. I believe it was, what would you like the universe to know? I think I liked this round, but my problem was that it was way too fast. Like, we didn't have time to process each of the answers, and we already had to see the girls answering, the next girl answering the questions. So it was kind of, you know, rushed, and I didn't like it in that sense. But overall, I think my favorites in this round were Nepal, South Africa, Philippines, Puerto Rico, and Australia. I think they looked very confident, and they knew what they were doing, and their answers seemed the most complete. Who I didn't like from this round, I think I will have to say Vietnam and Venezuela, just because they risked giving an answer in English and it wasn't their first language, and they looked very nervous, and you know, their answer seemed a little bit off in terms of making sense. They gave them extra points for trying. I think trying is a very important thing. And also Jamaica. Jamaica had a little bit of problems. I think she got a little bit nervous, but she recovered it gracefully, and I was surprised not to see her in the top 10. After the speeches, we had a very special moment in which they congratulated and honored Miss Payne's participation in Miss Universe. Miss Payne is the first transgender woman to ever compete at the Miss Universe stage, and they did a little video of her talking about her experience and how difficult it was for her to grow up. I think this moment was so amazing and so empowering. Definitely history was being made, and I loved what she said about that. She said, and I quote, "I don't need to win Miss Universe, I only need to be here." And, you know, I think all of us started to cry, or at least feel very empathetic towards her. And I definitely had to acknowledge that Miss Universe is taking the time into going more out there and being more empowering and inclusive. I think that's a quality that we all need, and in times like this, we need it more than ever. So I applaud the Miss Universe organization for doing that, and Miss Spain for coming forward and participating in a contest like this. Then we finally had a top 10. The girls that made the cut were Miss South Africa, Vietnam, Venezuela, Philippines, Costa Rica, Curacao, Nepal, Canada, Thailand, and Puerto Rico. Overall, I think we had an amazing top 10, and it was gonna be very difficult to select a top 5. Liked about this year's format that they gave the opportunity to the top 10 to compete in both swimsuit and evening gown. I think it was very, very good because we get to see the girls in both rounds, and you know, a clear view of who should make the top 5. I think it gives them more chances to be on the wrong way and, you know, impact the judges. So it was a beautiful decision from the Miss Universe organization. My favorites in swimsuit were Philippines, Venezuela, Canada, and Puerto Rico. I think they did an amazing job and had the best catwalks and also the attitude. Then we had evening gowns. One thing I didn't like was that before the girls got out on the stage, they interviewed Miss Philippines, and we saw Miss Universe Philippines dress before she got to the stage. I didn't like that at all. I think it takes off from the emotion. It was definitely a bummer to see her dress before she made the catwalk. Overall, my favorites in evening were Philippines, Vietnam, Thailand, Canada, and Puerto Rico. I think those were the best performances in evening gown. I think Thailand, by choosing a red gown, got a little bit less attention because Miss Philippines was before her and she also had a red gown. So I think that's why Thailand didn't make it further, but she definitely was a strong contestant. One thing that I might mention is that South Africa had a lot of struggle in her evening gown portion, and I thought that she wasn't gonna make it to the top 5, but we saw that she did. So maybe the Miss Universe is not that focusing to seeing the girls stripping in their gowns. I think it's more about your attitude and how much they like you as a person, and not that much about the dress. But overall, it was so hard to choose a top 5, but the girls that made it were Puerto Rico, Vietnam, Philippines, Venezuela, and South Africa. A very strong, I think it's the strongest top 5 in years that we've had at the Miss Universe. I was very pleased with those results. 3 of them used interpreters. They were Puerto Rico, Vietnam, and Venezuela. I think the message gets lost in terms of the translation, you know. For example, I'm a very fluent Spanish speaker, and it was a little bit off for me how Miss Puerto Rico's answer was translated. She talked about having empathy. Her question was, why is freedom of speech important? And she talked about that the press has to have empathy towards the readers and the people that they're writing about. And the interpreter translated it to sympathy, and empathy and sympathy are not the same words. They have 2 different meanings, and it totally changed her answer. And you know, I was a little bit disappointed in that sense because Puerto Rico, I think she gave one of the best answers in the top 5, and because of that, maybe she didn't make it further. Also, Venezuela, I thought she was very generic in her answer. I was expecting a little bit more of her, and I was surprised to see her making it to the top 3. South Africa was asked, do you think countries should limit the number of refugees allowed across the borders? And I think this was the best answer out of the top 5. She talked about how each country needs to have their own rules of regulation, but we must understand that we are all humans and we all deserve love and being respected. It was a very complete answer in all the senses. Like Miss Vietnam response, I think she was a little bit nervous, and you know, it was a little bit off, and also she kept it very short. But Miss Philippines also did a great job. She was asked about the marijuana issue, and she gave a very short response, but it was very consistent, and you know, there's nothing wrong with sharing your opinion, so I think she did a very well job. At the top 3, which was Miss Philippines, South Africa, and Venezuela, I was very surprised to see Venezuela instead of Puerto Rico in the top 3. I think Venezuela was very generic in the whole competition in terms of her answers, but definitely she was one of the most beautiful contestants, so in terms of look, she deserved it, but I didn't think that she was well enough prepared to be in a top 3 because her answer was a little bit average and a little bit rehearsed. But overall, it was a very strong top 3, and I was excited to see Miss Philippines win the crown. I think she was a clear winner since the beginning, since day 1 in Miss Universe in Thailand. She demonstrated that she had the skills and that she had the abilities to become the next Miss Universe, and I'm really excited to see what she's gonna do in her year of reign. And congratulations to the Philippines. Congratulations Philippines, congratulations Catriona Gray. It was a very exciting pageant, and I can't wait to Miss Universe 2019. Please let me know who were your favorites and if you're pleased with the winner. Also let me know who you thought was gonna make the top 5, and if you were pleased with the format and all the details that were included in this edition of the Miss Universe 2018 pageant. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Please like and subscribe, and don't forget to follow my social media. Bye bye.